Peace and joyful rising, trigger to transform family and community, and wherever you like to place yourself in this beautiful realm. I am Goddess Shatoya, and this is day 32 of Trigger to Transform 90-day journey. And welcome to the evolution of what we are creating. We have usually been doing this at nighttime. And all of a sudden, things shifted and the evolution started to occur. Well, these videos started coming in the morning. This is video number 2 for a morning session. So, welcome. I hope the energy is a lot different. I hope I'm awake. I'm actually dressed. I still have on my sweatshirts because I'm a sweatshirt type of girl, and this sweatshirt is really special. Now I'm gonna have to turn this light on for a minute for you all to see. Now I created this yesterday with my auntie. We're trying out the Trigger to Transform branding package, if you will, and merchandise. And so this is one of the shirts that we came up with. While I love the font and the texture on this shirt, I chose the wrong color to put it on. I thought this yellow was a little bit deeper and it would pop a little bit more against the white, but it didn't, and that's okay because it's my shirt. I know what it says. So but I'm going to show you all. Can you see it? I'm so excited. So that is one of the big, I guess you could say, announcements that I'm making is that I'm working on producing merchandise for this channel, all right, for the school, for the academy. And so, oh yeah, I might do a coffee mug next. Ooh, I'm gonna have to ask my auntie. My auntie's like my best friend. Like that energy, we can get together. She's my auntie, don't get me wrong. But the energy when we get together, we chit chat it up, we create things together. We're both very artistic, if you will, in our own way. She's way more detail oriented than me, so I learned a lot from her about taking my time, and she's very methodical. So I love my auntie. Y'all hear me talk about my family all the time. I love my family. I have, let's see, 4 aunties. Excuse me. And 3 of them I don't talk to all that often, but when we do talk, it's all love. And then I have cousins who are my mom and my aunt's age, who are like my aunts, and they are also a riot. And so I have a lot of matrilineal energy around me. In my family, it is mostly girls up until this last generation. When we started producing children, we all had boys, and we have one girl. And I'm like, wow, how did that happen? So I'm imagining that all of our boys will again have girls when they're of age. And they're all, our oldest young man, should I say, now is 21. And then we have Isaiah at 18. And actually we have Cam at 18, almost 19 now. Shut up. And then Isaiah at 18, turning 19 later this year. So they're all growing up, and it's beautiful to watch. And I know this sweatshirt got me off on my family, but they're so important to me. And like any other family, you know, we have our things, but in common, at the end of the day, we will go to bat for one another. My family is of, we are indigenous to this land. We have gone back into our lineage, and we're able to see where we were classified and reclassified. And so knowing that, and knowing the dedication that we have to ourselves and to our growth and development and who we are, and owning the fact that we are indigenous to this land, it is all very, very humbling at times. very humbling, and sometimes very triggering. Sometimes very triggering, as I'm doing this work in transgenerational languaging and health and figuring out how what it is that our ancestors went through is now affecting us, how it does definitely show up in our ways of being, right? And so all of that because today we're talking about relational fragmentation, and we're going to work on our our patterns of division. Um, and so family is a great way to look into that scope, right? Because of so many reasons, but families have a tendency to divide on each other. It is not uncharacteristic to have, excuse me, varying degrees of the experience of being within a family. There's fighting, there's infighting, there's love, there's division for so many reasons. From, I didn't even say back in the day, right? This is still very real. From colorism, I'm darker, you're lighter, I'm darker, to families actually being divided through finances, right? This person left me this and this person left me that. There are a lot of reasons to be divided in family. We notice that as we go out into the community. That's why I also said, welcome family, welcome community, because I get that there is a separation. And while our communities sometimes overlap and our families sometimes overlap into our communities, they are two very different and distinct spaces to hold. Okay. So we're going to reflect on that and how those triggers, what happens within us when we're able to hold on to the division that we see anywhere in our communities, anywhere in our families, and how we are using our trigger to transform that. Do we even want to? Right? I'm really talking about making a choice to see the division patterns or the patterns of division and how it fragments us in a way that we are more resolved to become what our family and community needs, in a way that we are able to not continue to draw out the division. I hope that made sense. I'm hoping that made sense. Sometimes I wish I scripted this, but I can't. I simply can't, because sometimes the information comes through the way that it comes through. Okay? That's all I can say about that. All right. So I talk about my journey in grad school quite often. And inside of one of those classes that I took, I can't remember the name of it right now. It's community and something. And I have to find I don't want to talk about that right now. That's going to throw me off. I'm going to need to find my syllabi. But inside this class, I remember distinctly coming up with what it is that we saw within our communities, like really looking at where we saw division in our communities. You can replace that with families by creating I want to say it was a messy picture sequence, so to speak. So we picked a trigger, if you will. We picked an area of what's called disoriented dilemmas in the program that we saw, right? I want you to do this either for your family or in your community. And whatever that big trigger was, be it community violence, be it homelessness, poverty, be it whatever your trigger is. Okay. School system, trash, whatever gets your goat going, whatever you can pull out and just that thing. And we drew that picture, right? This is the thing that causes the trigger. Now, who do I have to be inside of this trigger that I'm experiencing that alleviates the pain point of what my community is experiencing? Because the truth of the matter is, we want someone else to come and do the thing for us. No one is coming to save us. It is really up to us to, I was going to say diagnose, but to determine what it is that needs to happen, even if it's from this level, right? So if it's violence in your community, you're like, there's too many guns out here. I'm going to talk to the police department. Your next step inside of your messy picture is, how does this thing impact me? How does this thing impact the community? And that seems like a really vague or diluted question, if you will. But if you're paying attention to what's actually happening inside of you when you hear that someone has succumbed to community violence, someone has succumbed to gun violence, or someone has succumbed to domestic violence, those are community issues. Poverty, if someone has if you find out that a family hasn't had food in a long time, there's a food shortage, all these things, even up to reparations for the indigenous community, right? Any of that can cause a trigger, but find out how it really bothers you. Find out where the impact is in that disoriented dilemma, in that trigger for you, for your community, for your family, and list those things out. And then you want to figure out, okay, if all of these people are being impacted by this, what is the commonality? And what is it that I really want to drive home? What is it that about this funnel of information can I choose a new system to create, even if it's within me? How do these things keep happening, and how do I shift within myself? Right? This isn't about taking on anything else. This is about looking at what triggers you and how you are able to not eliminate the trigger, but create a system around it. I know I'm triggered by things. I for example, I don't watch the news. It just don't know. Okay? Nah. I don't watch the news anymore. There was nothing that I could do in that sequence besides remove myself from it that would alleviate the nervousness, the anxiety, the panic that I felt watching the news. Now, I don't want to hear the news in the distance. It doesn't get any better. It really helped me to understand why I made the choices that I made around being involved in that environment. This is the situation with relational fragmentation as well. Who can you be? Who can you source yourself as to show up in your relationships so that they are not fragmented? So that if you notice the fragmentations inside of the relationship, who are you willing to become to deal with it? If you're the one that's popping off and I'm gonna cuss that mother, is it serving a purpose? Or are you just mad? Are you just triggered by your own behavior that's really causing an issue? If you're the meek, the mild, the quiet, use your voice. Right? Sometimes it's just the opposite of what it is that we're up to that sometimes works. And sometimes we have to sit in who we're being in order to see if this is the opportunity for me to activate something else inside of me. If relational wealth is important to you, now, if it's not, this might not be the video for you. Okay? Because this is not about being mad about something and doing nothing about it. This is about what Michael Jackson said, I'm talking to the man in the mirror. Okay. Don't. Okay. I'm asking him to change his ways. I'm asking her to change her ways. What am I willing to do to transform my experience inside of my relationship so that they're no longer fragmented? What patterns do I notice inside of myself that reflect division? That's what you want to focus on in the next section of your messy picture, right? Like, okay, this is a system that works. How do I show up inside of it? I want to correct everything. I want to make everybody better except for me. How do I contribute to the violence in my community? How do I contribute to the food shortage in my community? Have I gotten a garden together that makes sure that the kids in my neighborhood have fresh fruits and vegetables through the course of the year? Nope, I haven't. Did I go over there to the grocery store and see what they were doing with the produce that they're no longer using? Can I open up a food pantry? Can I... Am I willing to go down to the police department and have a conversation to find out what we're doing about excessive guns on the streets? Can I go talk to my city council? Will I make time in my schedule? If not, if you're not willing to do anything about the relational fragmentations, but you just want to complain about it, you're willing to sit in the trigger every time it comes up for you, you're going off about it, you're wagging your finger and shaking your head and saying what you would do, that is a pattern of division. I'm here just to tell you the truth. That is a pattern of division. Our voice is the most important thing that we have access to. See, it works like this. Our mind tells us something, but our voice is what seals the deal. Now, that can happen in one or two or three ways, right? My mind tells me something. I'm in control of this thing. Is this the time that I need to say this? I verbal vomit all over the place. Now I'm responsible for the verbal assault that I've just placed inside of a container, if you will, right? What am I willing to do? Who am I willing to become so that this relational fragmentation does not has a completely different impact? Let's say it that way, right? Because I get that when we are inside of something and when it's happening, it's sometimes very intense. It might be very sad. It might be very exciting. It might be very uplifting, right? Those aren't normally uplifting and exciting, aren't normally patterns of division. It's usually it's usually the opposite. So that's why I started there with sadness. Not because I want anybody to be sad, but just for us to be aware about how the information is translated in our body. Am I mad? Am I angry? Am I excited? Am I... right? Because that's going to support you in answering the questions about what it is that I'm willing to do to generate another framework, another system for the patterns that I see within me, within my family, within my community. Trigger. How does it show up in my family? How does it show up in my community? What is the impact on these spaces? Drop down, and what am I willing to do about it? Who am I willing to be? How do I need to show up to close some of the gaps, to close some of the fragmentations that I see in these relationships, because I care about our relational wealth. Congratulations. Congratulations on continuing to come back. Congratulations on seeing this as a space to open your mind, provide a different perspective. And if it's not you, and we're already at the end of this video, like, subscribe, and share. Because I never say it in the beginning of the video anymore. But that's okay. That's just fine. I'm going to get it in there one way or the other. It will, something will trigger it in my mind. Congratulations and thank you Thank you, thank you, thank you for choosing this as your learning lab, as your space for exploration and self identification and working through those things, those small little things that keep you spinning in that hamster wheel. But there's one, just one micro step that's going to change your reality. You get to decide what it's going to be. For me, it's always choice. It's always choice. I have the choice to do what it is that I said I was going to do in order to gain the outcome that I desire. And I'm not attached to the outcome. I'm really attached to me demonstrating to myself the level of comfort and the level of discomfort I'm willing to release and accept in order to advance and move forward in my life. I feel a little something down there. I just used a water pick, y'all. Excuse me. Child. Okay. I'm so serious. I love you, and I'm looking forward to hearing all about the wonderful things that you're doing inside for you, for your family, for your community, for this nation at large. We need us, and it is important that we keep moving forward in what it is that we know we are capable of in order to create something different for those that are coming behind us, for our descendants, as we become the ancestors and the elders. Listen, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, honey. That's why I show up the way I show up, because it ain't no reason to be afraid. You got everything you need. You have everything you need. I am Goddess Shatoya, and this space is for you and for me to come together in moments like this where we just need to talk. All right, I'll see you tomorrow. You be well and keep your evolution moving.